You are responsible what you're putting in your mind, same as you're responsible what you're putting in your body. So you need to know who are you listening to and how much they're really educated or what credentials they have. So that's where it's really important to know where you're getting the information, because that will affect other aspects in your life. They are always consistent on their sleep, their workout. They always show up no matter. Showing up is something not easy. So I give credit for my high performance clients that no matter what, they'll be here at my studio at 7 a.m. or even online. So there's snow there, or if it's springtime, it's easier, but they're always showing up no matter what. This is a mindset that I work with clients for. You can't wait for the best occasion to exercise or to even go to like work and be a high performer. So you have to, no matter what, have that mindset. I'm gonna do the work. But from these two individuals, also a little bit like they overconquered adversity. Like Frank was living in an apartment at the time, it was $16 the rent. He also comes from a broken family, and but he, give him a credit, he always shows up.
Is something standing between you and your happiness? It was for me. I had to face my depression and the constant negative self-talk. Therapy helped me realize I deserve to be happy. That's why this podcast is called I Choose Health, because I made the choice to heal and I want to share that with you. As a gift to you, we've partnered with BetterHelp as our sponsor to help you start your own healing journey. We all face moments when life feels overwhelming, whether it's stress, anxiety, or just feeling stuck. Talking to someone can make a real difference. And that's where our sponsor BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp offers professional online therapy that's convenient, affordable, and entirely on your schedule. You can connect with a licensed therapist by video, phone, or even chat, whatever works best for you. Let our sponsor BetterHelp support you on your journey to better mental health. You can get 10% off your first month by going to betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth. That's betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth for 10% off your first month. Take the first step toward feeling better today.
As a teenager, I decided to live better, so I gave up the meat, eggs, and cheddar. At 20 and 30, I wanted more, so I strengthened my mind and my core. Living a life that is healthier and wealthier because I choose health.
Name that keeps coming up when you talk about blended science, strategy, and mindset is Alex Jamal. And with proven experience working with high-performance clients like Frank Stallone and Elizabeth Jones, Alex has seen firsthand how powerful an evidence-based and emotionally intelligent approach to nutrition can be. Whether you're an athlete chasing PRs, someone struggling to build healthy habits, please welcome Alex Jamal. Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the nice introduction. I appreciate it.
So, Alex, I want to start with a question, more so a perspective question. And I wonder, from your perspective, what do most people misunderstand about what real health actually means?
I think people get into if they're eating just like they're thinking, oh, I'm eating organic, then I'm fine, without just knowing what they're eating. So that's the major thing, or like they think so many has their wrong idea of, oh, it's gluten free, but still it has calories, it's not calorie free or sugar free, for example. Like just gluten free is for some people who are sensitive on gluten, not all of us are. So oftentimes we get or people get under the impression of a big phrase or a big statement without digging into what is really being healthy. I mean, one of the most important things of being healthy is sleeping enough, which is like sleeping on time, having a good, you know, that's not food, but that get affected by food, but that's health.
Spent over 20 years in sports nutrition and fitness. What patterns do you consistently see in high performers?
In high performance in particular, is consistency. And what do I mean by consistency is, there will be a week like you're not feeling much, but you could be like doing the minimum, which is three sessions a week. and also as much as possible, let's call it playing in the circle of staying healthy. So that what I've done to myself, and I see other who I either I'm friends with or I train. They've been for many years keeping good health, keeping consistent, and good health will reflect on a good brain and good performance. So if you want to be a successful human being, you have to have a good health and take care of your health. Because once you're sick, that affect your performance, affect your ability to work, affect your creativity. So it's first is health, and most important is to know how to stay consistent. Look, motivate like motivation, inspiration, all that is okay, and you need it, but it's an up and down thing. But if you put in your head that I will stay in the I like 90%, but not everyone is able to do it. If you stay in the 85% of trying to do your best, then you're fine. You'll be okay. But once you start giving excuses and lowering that, then the problems start one after one, and one problem goes to the other, and the other. It just grows.
Now, I know that with you, I know you've been working with people like Frank Stallone and Elizabeth Jones. What lessons would you say that they taught you that helped you change, that probably helped you change how you coached?
Like, for example, Frank, he's now 75. That's not, I give him the credit that he still shows up no matter what. I mean, we had tough years during COVID, so he still shows up at 7 a.m. no matter. And even like days are rainy, sometimes we don't have snow here in Los Angeles, but it gets really cold, and I'll be actually thinking like, oh, I don't want to move, but
Yeah.
he pushes me in a way. So you learn how to be like, getting things done and keep punching, as we said, like keep it going. Elizabeth always has been healthy, and she stayed healthy all her life. Like her lifestyle always revolved around activity, which is something you implement and you decide to do. Every weekend she's hiking. I'm not with her with the hikes, but she's with me during the week. So no matter what, she does a hike, and that would be like 7, 8, 9, 10 miles, whatever it is. But it's just like it's like wake up and I just keep going. Take the water bottle and I go. And that you learn that, to make your priority something that will help you and something which always actually paid off for you. So once you make that as a first thing for you, same as you make a prayer, the most important to you. So you make so it's like spiritual and mind the same way. So they go both hand in hand. And I think it always reflects great on them and kept them successful.
Now, one thing that I've heard a lot, that people say, I'm eating healthy, but nothing is changing. And a lot of times that's in reference to, their weight goals or maybe how they feel. What potential gaps, and I know for each person it's going to be different, but what potential gaps is that person who's saying, I'm eating healthy, but I see nothing changing? What are the gaps that they might be missing?
Okay. Well, there's two things. First, people either overeat or undereat. Okay, so they don't. I mean, it's very specific. You have to be very on top of things and calculating really. I mean, very precise on everything you weigh, you have to eat, and you weigh your food, and you have you're monitoring your calories and how much activity you have. That's I'm talking if you want to do it like as a professional, being like 100% almost on top of your knowing everything coming in and out. And so that is probably zero point 0.5 of people. We're not asking people to be this way because it's not, you can't maintain that for long term. So you need always an approach that works almost to everyone. So people will miss the understanding where the calories are coming from and how the body is gonna be able to use those calories. Like for example, you have carbohydrates and protein, which is the easiest example I always give. They're both equal calories, four calories per gram, per 1 gram. Okay, so but the body uses it in a different way. So oftentimes people overeating carbohydrates, and then they end up not knowing what's like. I'm missing my goal, or like I didn't get what I feel like So understanding food generally and what are you putting in your body is first step. And also remember that if alcohol is never going to be your friend. If your goal is to even build muscle or like lose the fat, you have to stay away from
I think it's interesting when it comes to nutrition that when we look at that word healthy, there's two sides to it. And by two sides, I mean there's a relationship that we have with food, right? So when we say healthy, in essence, of food, let's say it's like spinach, right? Or lettuce or whatever it is, at its core, it may be healthy. The question is on your side of it, on the human being side of it, when what you do with that particular food and how you eat that particular food will determine whether or not it was a healthy consumption of that food, right? So a lot of times, I would see, especially with the Western diet, where there would be a combination of a quote unquote healthy food with a food that's not so great for the body. And so, there are people who say that, I'm eating healthy, but they're making these kind of relegating it to just the substance of the food, but not their specific behavior or habit. And so I know that as a trainer as well, being in this industry for a couple of years. I mean, I'm now in this industry for 5 years. But one thing when I ask my clients if they eat healthy, a lot of times, sometimes it's the content of the food when they say they're eating healthy is not healthy, and then a lot of
it. Yeah.
times also the way that they're doing it is not healthy either. So, kind of speak to that experience with clients and maybe what reactions you get from them, whether or not it's a paradigm shifting moment for them where they realize like, wow, like I probably really have not been eating healthy or doing things in a healthy way, even though I think I am.
Yeah, I agree. The content of like I said, people, as I said, when we were started the conversation, like a lot goes under the name of healthy, right? Or the word healthy, but content of the food, the ingredients, that plays a big role. And, so sometimes this is a simple example. They would say the food label would say 20 grams of carbohydrates, but it's not now. Maybe some they say, oh, which is 4 grams of sugar. But are the rest of the 16 grams, are they like low glycemic? Are they, where they come, what's that carbohydrate kind? So, and oftentimes I want to say in these snacks, they're like almost sugar. But of course, all carbohydrates are sugar, but they're simple or complex, but almost like they have like processed, and then accumulating that every day, that has a different thinking, oh, it's health, but that will have a different effect on your body. If we're talking really about, internal health, when every year you do your physical, although I ask to do it every 6 months, then eventually bad habits or those things that we don't know that what we're doing is going to catch up on our organs. So, and when you do the blood test, it shows different ways and be like, wow, I thought I'm healthy. Where did it come from? It's knowing what you're putting in your bodies, and that's the purpose we're doing some podcasts, because we need to educate people and get them to know more about how to be really healthy and have more longevity.
Now, with social media, what has been pretty persistent is I think the varying perspectives of quote unquote health experts. And I know that there's so many people that are confused. When you work with clients for a long period of time, clients come to you and say, I'm hearing that you can't eat this particular food or you can't drink this particular drink. How can someone tell if nutrition advice is actually evidence based and is not really based on a particular trend? What tools should the average person be using to decipher whether or not the advice they're getting is actually nutrition advice?
Well, first of all, you have to know what credentials that the person you're listening to has, right? Unfortunately, now we have it's a trend nowadays of influencers where I don't know, like this morning, I had a young client. He's asking me, I see all these influencers pushing they push some unregulated substances, and they don't know what's in it. They don't know how it works actually, but all that they know are they tried it, for example, and they got bigger or got leaner, whatever their goal was, or whatever and they just thinking if I can make money from it, then fine. I don't care about others. But now others has the responsibility because you're the one opening that screen and looking at it. You are responsible what you're putting in your mind, same as you're responsible what you're putting in your body. So you need to know who are you listening to and how much, like, like they're really educated or what credentials they have or what's, like they're like, or they go to school. They did here you call it school, but okay, they go to university. So who are you taking advice from? And why would you agree on taking an advice from someone who is like that on your body and health, which is the most important? And you wouldn't, for example, agree to take an advice financially from a kid, right? So it's almost the same. No, no, this is money, but your body is more like you fall. That's it. You're done. You're not going to be able even to make money. I have this. I gotta like have this example of. It's not an example. It's actually a fact. All the high successful people, okay, and the reason, and not because they're successful, they can afford it. Thus, they have that. No, I'll tell you something. If you or any person want to be really are successful and for example many people like to be rich, okay, so the best is to really first start with your health in mind. All these high end people, rich people, they all have a trainer, not because they can afford, not because they understood it's important for them to be healthy and their body need to be pain free and the food they're eating reflects on their performance daily. So that's where they stayed in that circle of health and fitness, or like health and performance. So they make sure they are on top of their health, so that would not affect their outcome. So that's where it's really important to know where you're getting the information because that will affect other aspects in your life.
If you had to compare mindset and diet, would you say that mindset should supersede diet when it comes to long-term health?
Yes, oftentimes the problem that I wrote an article about that, which is diet and people's conclusions. You shouldn't be having it. The idea of I'm dieting, thus it will end 4 or 5 months. Then you're gonna fail again. So people oftentimes have the idea of like a diet comes with expiry, and that's when you're not gonna be able. So this is where you have during your diet, you're working on your mindset. Like I'm gonna understand what am I doing now to my body. I understand how the food is affecting me, the good, the bad, what I'm not doing well with, and then I'm gonna keep going with this for the rest of my life as much as possible. So that is all what mental work, because you have to put in your head that I'm not gonna finish this, like I'm not gonna end it on the 20th, for example. I have to do this even though it's gonna get hard, even though there will be days that I will wake up, I want pancakes and a lot of cream or whatever. So I will always try to keep pushing and keep my uh, living a healthy lifestyle, knowing that there will be tough days coming, and knowing that I won't be motivated.
And also, when it comes to stress, because this is why we talk about holistic health. How do stress and emotional pressure sabotage even perfect nutrition plans? Because people have everything in their nutrition plan laid out in terms of
Yeah, they eat emotionally.
macros and time of day, right? But then how
Yeah.
how does stress and emotional pressure kind of destroy those nutrition plans?
Well, definitely stress. Okay, we have daily stress, right? It goes up and down. Sometimes some stuff happens to you during the day, and could be bad, and then it will like take you off your focus, and you'll be like, I need chocolate, give me sugar. So I always would tell my clients, there will always be good and bad days. The sun rises, the sun sets. This is life. The more you get mentally prepared for it and know that you can overcome those obstacles, then you're not going to be under a huge amount of stress. Just know that there's problems going to be like life is gonna every day hit you with a problem. Now, sometimes it's a simple problem, sometimes it's a huge problem, but that shouldn't get you off your nutrition plan. Like, okay, maybe one snack, like one time, then don't make it an excuse constantly. And if you don't turn to, if your body does not need cheat meal, like sometimes we call it a cheat, which is I'm not always a fan of. And I tell my clients, don't ask for it until I would say what you should be doing. If you don't, if I see you don't need it, then you don't need it. There's nothing like, oh, I should have that. I mean, you don't go and when you don't go spend extra $300 when you don't really need to spend extra $300, for example. So now the same thing. Think about it. Would you need to eat another 700 calories when you don't really need to, just because you had in your mind or you read somewhere that there should be a cheat meal, and some of them they started cheat meal and end up with a cheat day and they ruin the whole thing. Putting in your mind that you know there would be occasions in my life that are gonna push me away from my line. So anyway, let me just start from the beginning by overcoming that in my mind before it hits me.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because, I know that oftentimes, trainers or nutritionists will recommend a person to take advantage of the cheat meal because it creates less of a barrier for that client to adhere to the nutrition plan, right? Because they know that, okay, I'll have this one day where I can kind of quote unquote pig out or eat something that I shouldn't. It tends to seem like it's an easier plan to follow. But I mean, for me personally, and this kind of connects to what you said about clients who are consistently successful because of their consistency. I've always been one that I didn't really believe also either in a cheat meal. Like for me, I always wanted to perform at my best, so I was always trying to put in the right thing. Even down to the order of how I was eating my foods and fruits and everything like that. So, I think that's a really interesting perspective to share about like looking at the mentality of a cheat meal. Do you feel, and this might be a convoluted question, do you feel that a concept of a cheat meal is probably something that comes up more within Western society diets versus other cultures like Eastern cultures that tend to kind of be a little bit more stringent in the way, or I don't want to make that classification, but they tend to stay to one type of diet and it generally works for them. So do you think that there's a difference in the mentality around diet between the two different cultures?
In some sense, yeah. I mean, we definitely know that we have a huge amount of obesity in America, and that comes from all our fast food and access to it, and the ability to get food delivered anytime during the day to your house. And that food is not really healthy food. So yeah, that's one thing. Like the ability to cheat or the access to quick calories in a simple, like you can walk to the store that opens 24 hours and get fried chicken with some chocolate or whatever, or
Hmm.
ice cream and stuff. So then I think overseas, not everywhere that's accessible. On top of that, people cook more and eat more their cultural food. So, which is in many cases healthy food or healthier food. So that in general, yeah, but again, it's all in your mind. Like you have to know that you don't really, if you have the big goal and you're very insisting on reaching that goal, then doesn't matter. I mean, I walk by people, I'd be fasting and I walk by people eating whatever meals they're eating, and I'd be hungry,
Hmm.
definitely. But that's it. I'm on track. And that's how you always need, like, I mean, it's just a big test for anyone. But again, you look at your bigger picture and your goal and what you want to do in your life and where you want to go. And it always pays off. Hard work will always pay off. Good work will pay off. Understanding your body and being healthier will pay off. Like it's always, I have sometimes days that I have to be on top of things for 12 hours. So my nutrition should, is set right, and my sleep is set right, because sleep and nutrition, like if it has to be there, they have to be on the same page. So if you don't sleep well, you don't recover. The next day you wake up, you're tired. Okay, sometimes it's one day you can help with some coffee or here or there, but you can't keep doing that. Eventually your body falls.
And another thing, and this might be a obvious answer, obvious question, but for some people, they're so caught up in the idea of the aesthetic or the look. And is being lean or aesthetic the same thing as being healthy?
Not necessary, no, because unfortunately, if those people are using enhancing drugs, so okay, with a good food plan and just exercising, they look good. The look is good, but then their organs are is not that good, or like on the long run, there's side effects if they keep using those things. But generally, not having a belly is much better than having one, right? Just generally.
Now, with that in mind, how do you help clients shift from chasing a body to building real health?
Well, we work both on. I work with them both on their food choices and being consistent on exercise. Like this week it's raining, so I start texting them and telling them, "Okay, look, we know we have rain, but it's not an excuse not to come, and you still can do a good workout and just get it done and go with your day." And also making healthy choices during the holidays is very important. Some people like to drink, and I'm against that, and it's not gonna get them any good performance. I mean, look at all the successful people; they never drank. Just take it as simple as that. All the successful athletes, all the successful whatever you want, and their business, or they never drink because other than okay, get them fatter, it affects the next day and then the next day, and then that's not what they would want or like to feel. You get in love with your being performing good, or you fall in love of success, or like being on top of things and being an inspiration to others. So how you do that by being healthy. So that's all. Again, you talk to clients in this way, talk about them. So also they're here to get results. And they're here. It's also their responsibility when they're not with you. So, or with me. So that's what I'm saying. Like make them be accountable for the other. So then they understand. Because one day they're gonna come and say, "Hey, I've been doing this, so what's not? I'm not here, but let's see what you're doing outside of this. When you're here, I know what you're doing, but I don't know the rest of your life what you're doing." So that's another discussion.
Yep. Have you ever encountered or dealt with a client? You probably at this point you have probably had many clients who maybe in performance they're good performers, and their body looks in great shape, but then maybe they're in pain or certain levels are off. Have you seen that with some past clients?
Yeah, I've seen that, and this is where people get like he or she looks good, but unfortunately, her inside is not as
Mm,
good as from the outside. They either have high liver enzymes because of maybe they drink or fatty food or something like that, or like if their sugar is not stable, which is you could be diabetic in the near future. Remember, also in America, we have like high opportunity to be type 2 diabetes. I think the stats is 3 out of 5 are
mm,
borderline diabetic, which is high.
yeah.
So I've encountered that. I've had clients that, after they didn't do a right away blood test, but okay, we waited till the physical come, and then we have a high cholesterol, high. So they look okay, but from inside, then we have to work more on, the diet along with a good amount of training. And consistency is always important, both in your food and your workout and your life generally. That's what will help you again look good and feel good from inside. And how do you know you feel good is by getting your the blood test, and the results should show good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's helpful, man, because I think there's so many people just, fail to see how they may be doing well and lifting heavy, but if they're not, eating well and they're probably in pain and they're not sleeping well, as you said, or sometimes people even
Sleep
have,
is major. Sleep is
yeah,
major.
yeah. No, man, and I mean that's one of the things that I see a lot of people having issues with as well. And what do you say? Because I know there's some people that don't want to have that level of commitment or consistency for an individual who doesn't want to, be on top of diet and, sleep and check in, making sure that they're getting certain things in, would you say that is a lost cause for that person to see themselves as a high performer, or are there particular tips and tricks that would allow them to kind of circumvent the process?
I think, there's always going to, especially like we're not born we don't we're not like born and we start running right away, right? You start slowly and then you fall again. If you fall and you again we stand up and you try to walk and you fall, and then when okay, so that's what is that telling you is that you can't right away, you know if you got lucky one time, for example, and won the first wherever you're in, or like get the best salesperson, for example, it doesn't mean you're always entitled for that. You always have to work for it. And you always have to put yourself in that. Again, the mindset, the strategy, getting professional consultation to help you, like you and me. Like you have to know that there will be some failures at the beginning, but you shouldn't tap out. Okay. Like because, this is all what you call experience. And experience, you can't go buy it right away. Experience, you have to go through it. And from that experience, it will really build you up. And I think one of the best things one of the time in my life, I probably just only twice I did that, is when I hired someone to help me in my competition, like a coach. But I'm very picky because I think I could do it by myself because I had the experience as well. Whoever I hired, he was like 15 years of experience more than me. And why did I pick that over anything else? Is because you cannot buy that. This is failure and never giving up. And he kept going. Like seriously affected after that competition. I was very looking into training in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's such an amazing analogy because, as you rightly said, like once you're born, you don't you don't start running, you
Yeah.
don't even start walking right away, you don't even start crawling right away, right? So there are these different stages that we all have to go through, and so I think there's a certain point where we have to kind of get back to the drawing board and understand, well, I know that it's going to be a gradual process, and so these things as trainers we have to go through mindset coaching with our clients. I think we spend more time on mindset coaching than anything else with our clients because they always say things like, "Hey, I can't do this thing well," and I'm like, "Hey, it's something you have to keep working on." And so I always tell my clients, just as you are expert in your field and you've worked to get to that point,
Yeah.
it's also the same thing for me. So now you're learning to master something else. So that's where I always tell my clients to just be patient with themselves as they're mastering this particular movement, or when it comes to their diet and nutrition, mastering that as well. So, I know that you've worked with, people like Frank Stallone and Elizabeth Jones over the years. And for those of you who are not aware of who Frank Stallone is, you probably heard the name, which is Sly Stallone's brother. But what lessons did these individuals teach you that has changed the way you've coached over the last couple of years?
You know, especially him and his brother, because I also trained Sly One. And like I'll mention quickly, when I was a kid, I never thought that like Rocky to me was, probably for many, it's a love story, but for us is probably the best motivational movie, exercising songs, etc. Right. So, and Frank did many of the songs in the movie, and he's in Rocky. Frank is in Rocky. Okay. So getting close to them and getting to be able to train them, and that was like, to me, is like, wow, I never imagined myself. Yeah, I was blessed in all my career, I want to say, and I'm very thankful for God for that. And I've competed, and I'm very unique in what I did. But from these two individuals, also a little bit like, they overconquered the adversity. Like Frank was living in an apartment at the time was $16 the rent. Like
Well,
he also comes from a broken family, and it's and then but give him a credit. Like, he always shows up. He always, like, he would call me, for example, 6:30 a.m. Like, okay, we're on for set. Like, it's you learn from, like, you keep pushing, and this is not easy because so many times in your life you think, I don't, especially this is a message for all the trainers that listen to you, or someone who wants to get in the fitness, and you have to have a thick skin, and you have to really, and same that goes with actors, right? And then, because you're
Mhm.
not always booked for work. The same with us. Like, you're not, okay, today is busy, tomorrow not, yesterday was less. So, but you have to, especially at the beginning, you have to stay in it. If you really like it, if that's what you want, you have to know that, okay, the bad days are gonna maybe be too long, and if you really, you have to figure out stuff, right? You have to keep the marketing, you have to keep your name good, have always a positive mentality and positive approach. And so I learned that from them. Like, this is to be able to get to a level. It's not that, it's not like, for example, I mean, some of this, like, if Sly or Frank gives me an advice, I take it right away, because they're like 15 years of,
Mhm.
he failed so many times, but he succeeded. And that one success, I always say, one could pay for everything. I remember when I didn't place I actually placed, but it wasn't like what I wanted in my last competition, which was Mr. Olympia Amateur in Vegas. I was very disappointed because, the way they treated us, and there was a problem in the federation. Anyways, I went back home, driving back from Vegas, and I slept the next day. And the third day, I get a call that I have a very important dinner with the president of the federation. And then I wake up, and then they announced me I'm the uh, chairman for fitness in California. So that's what I'm saying. One thing will pay for every disappointment. So that's what you learn from such people. So he was always rejected for rock and other stuff, but he did many other things. Same with Frank. Like, this performance doesn't work, the second will work. That's how it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you said that. I mean, this is, as you know, this industry is a tough industry. When I got into it, I knew that I needed to take my fitness and my game to another level. And so I always thought about, getting ahead, people who were waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, I was getting up at 3 and I was working out from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., every day. And so that was just my drive. And so, I think it's important to be able to have people like Sly and Frank, Elizabeth around you who are kind of pushing it, and really taking it to the next level of, especially since they're taking into consideration everything they have going on and they're still able to push
Yeah.
through it. So I think it's really important to have that influence around.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
And with the work that you've done, and I'm curious to see like what are the next steps for Alex Jamal in terms of business and what do you have coming out and other programs that are obviously going to help clients who are trying
Yeah,
to
I'm
achieve their best
actually,
outcome.
next year in June and September, I'm running a holistic retreat in Sicily, Italy. It's a very exclusive to 6 to 7 people, in a very nice boutique hotel in Nicolosi, Sicily. And we will work on exercising, doing exercises outdoors. And I have the number one chef who won the championship in making good food in Vegas. So that's on top of things. Then you disconnect from life and your pressure, and you connect with nature. So that's what I'm doing next year, on top of my personal training and my nutrition that keeps going, either in person here in Culver City or online.
And in terms of finding you on social media, I know you're on Instagram, and that's at the trainer Alex.
I have the trainer Alex, I have fitness results coach, and my website is easy. It's fitness results coach. And even if you write my name, Alex Jamal, on Google, all that will pop up.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for just giving us a reminder of what real health really is and what it looks like to choose that day in, day out. And again, guys, just remind you, this is Stephen Leslie, your host. Just remind you that choosing health is about choosing power, possibility, and purpose. This is week 38 of 52 choices. We're saying to keep a wins journal. Every day, write down one small win, no matter how minor it feels. Progress isn't built by big moments. It's built by stacking small victories you don't forget. Research in positive psychology shows that regularly writing down successes increases dopamine and reinforces motivation and self-efficacy. Studies on self-reflection and goal achievement also show that tracking wins improves consistency, confidence, and long-term behavior change. Track your wins, or your brain will forget them.